Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games Network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network. Hi, I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the podcast where husband and wife team go over all these storytelling, world building characters of video games because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yep, and this is episode 106.
Mystic's getting a stretch in as he's getting ready for this episode.
It's late at night.
He's gotta get those deltoids all worked out. I'm sorry. It was just a funny way to think we got to rev up for this podcast.
Before we get into the episode, a couple things out of the way. If you want to contact us, you can do that in many different ways. Instagram, Mastodon, Reddit, YouTube, Steam, and Discord down in the description below. Or if you'd like to email us, you can do that at loretogether@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast, and we hope you do, you can do that in one of two ways. First is heart, thumbs up, 5 stars, whatever it is, wherever you're listening. We appreciate it. The other way is through Patreon at patreon.com/loretogether, where you can pay a per episode pledge to get early access to episodes, early access to our Let's Plays, exclusive access to our mini episodes, as well as Q&As, which it's been a while since we've had one of those. Ask us questions.
Come on, patrons. You know you got some.
Also, patrons at a certain level get access to voting for our Let's Plays as well as future episodes. Although we've never asked for a vote on a future episode, usually because I avoid spoiling it for you.
Yeah, but you could do that. You could do that without me getting spoiled by it. But anyway, and if you guys have requests too, patrons kind of always get the first knock at requesting things.
Yeah.
So with that, though, any way you support us is appreciated, even if you just keep on listening and being our friends across the airwaves with us.
So I wanted to do something a little different.
Oh, something different.
As in, I'm a little burned out on the long form
You
stuff.
have been doing that a lot recently, and that's fine. It's okay.
And so this week we're going to a franchise both you and I know.
Oh.
But it's not long form. Do you have any guesses on what that might be?
Sounds like we're either going to talk about a specific kind of either alien race or fantasy race. We're going to talk about a specific fantasy or sci-fi, like sect, religion, political strife. I'm here for any of that.
Well, we're not doing any of that.
Are we doing a character analysis?
Nope. Yeah, maybe you can see it that way. You want another hint?
Sure.
One of our friends mentioned this franchise in episode 100.
Are we doing Animal Crossing?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, I'm here for it.
As I said, we had our friend from the Boss Rush Network, Celeste, mention the surprisingly interesting lore of the Animal Crossing series in her segment during our episode 100 celebration.
Yes.
She even covered the Able sisters briefly, which we'll get into more later. But despite all that fascinating lore, it's not like we can dive into one whole episode on one story from the franchise.
No.
We can discuss some of the characters and their weirdness of lore surrounding them specifically. Clearly, Safi is going to know some of this, but I think I could still work in a couple surprising tidbits.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I only played, there was the one that was on the DS, and then there was the one that we've played, New Horizons, most recently, and then proceeded to abandon, except we now have a friend who's picked up Animal Crossing, and we're like...
For the first time.
For the first time ever, we're like, I should probably go back to my neighborhood after a year.
I've been there in the past couple months.
Yes,
it's full of weeds.
It's, oh my gosh, is it probably full of weeds. Can't wait to sell them to the sloth.
For those unfamiliar with the game series, Animal Crossing is a life simulator franchise that revolves around your human character moving to a town, village, or island to live alongside its animal inhabitants. Mm-hmm. Each villager has their own personality, and the series is definitely more chill and relaxing than most we cover.
Yes. I would say much more chill. Definitely. Our latest episode was on Deus Ex. Much more chill than that on so many levels.
I remember reading a Reddit post. I think it was Reddit. Could have been something else, but a comment of somebody when New Horizons first came out saying they Disney-fied it. This is supposed to be a creepy franchise.
There's still some creepy parts to it, but
they came around to it later.
Yeah, but it was not. It was definitely a little bit more cutesy, fun, smooth around the edges.
And I'm not going to claim at all that what we cover in this episode is 100% lore fact. We're extrapolating and theorizing a little bit here because this is Nintendo in a game that's not exactly story-based.
I mean, considering they can't even keep the story of Legend of Zelda consistent even when they try.
Right. As my very next line. But even in Zelda, we went a long time without official timelines. So that was all fan theory until Nintendo gave us a solid-ish timeline that they then set about confusing in further subsequent games.
Yes. This is the way that Nintendo operates. I mean, how many times are we going to have the princess stolen by Bowser and Mario Go Save the Day again and again and again until we realize, guys, that's just the way the relationship works. Everybody's happy that way, okay?
There's a lot of necessary filling in that the fans have done, but I think most of it kind of tracks.
With Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, however, with Animal Crossing, even seemingly obvious questions like, is it really part of the game or just a glitch, can be difficult to answer. Like the gyroid face Easter egg.
Gyroid, excuse me?
This only happens in the GameCube Animal Crossing. Maybe the N64 one in Japan too, but I don't have
access to that one, yeah.
But if you travel to another town, which was not via the internet, and reset while you're away, you will lose everything in your inventory, and your face will be replaced with a creepy gyroid face.
A gyroid face?
Yes. Now, gyroids, if you don't know, are small little wooden
or stone
figurines, essentially, that move about and all that stuff, make weird noises.
Some of them, it seems to insinuate that they're also kind of more glass.
Yeah.
But still, it's kind of like if you just wanted a random little like toot or hoot in your house, then you get random toots or hoots or trills.
In New Horizons, in the earlier games, I don't think they did that quite as much.
Oh, they did.
They did, but they made different noises for the most part.
Some of them also sounded more like bells and rattles. They were a little bit more percussive.
Yeah.
I feel like they're getting a little bit more woodwindy.
But their faces are like you took a log and carved holes into it.
It's essentially like if you were doing a project in 6th grade and you were making a fake artifact for some skit that you were doing, that's what a gyroid kind of looks like. It's essentially, I took this paper towel roll and I cut out eyes and a mouth and I made it look kind of like either brick or clay.
Right.
Painted it a certain way so it looked like that, and then I put a little cone hat on top of it. Now there's a lot more diversity with the way the shape is too now, because they're not all kind of like that cylindrical with a cone hat shape.
But needless to say, back when I first heard about this, I kind of wrote it off as a glitch.
Yeah.
But unlike other resets of the game, Mr. Rossetti, a very scary and demanding mole.
Oh my gosh, never upset Mr. Rossetti.
Doesn't appear to chastise you, and a villager will tell you that you left everything behind in the other town.
Oh.
It has never appeared beyond the first game, though the gyroid face does. It's on the bunny villager, Coco, and not a punishment for the player.
Interesting.
Coco is an odd one. Her Japanese name is Yayoi, a reference to the Yayoi period, 300 BCE to 300 CE.
Okay.
Haniwa statues were first created at this time, which are the inspiration for the gyroids in the game.
Okay.
Haniwa statues house the spirits of the dead, which gets very creepy when the gyroids in the game all move and twist and make noise.
And in specifically New Horizons, in the tune to whatever music that you have playing off of your radio. I literally have it set up in the little basement area that it looks like I am researching how these move when I play with my radio.
Now you know it's dead people inside.
It's ghosts.
Yep.
It's all ghosts.
Another unsettling villager is Blanca,
Blanca?
a cat villager who is lacking a face.
Completely?
Completely white. No face.
And hence the name Blanca.
Yes. They ask you to add a face in various games, letting players draw their visage, which can understandably look pretty creepy as a result.
I mean, if you're going to let people just draw whatever they want, this can get really bad real quick.
Yeah. I use they as their pronoun, though, as their stated gender has changed between markets, but it's apparently unintentional in terms of lore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Blanca is named Ayashi Neko, which is suspicious cat.
Okay.
And is one of the handful of characters that have no stated gender. Basically, you had 3 different types of characters in the first game. You had male, female, and then special characters, which were always green. Blanca is a special character, and so they didn't quite know what to put them as.
Well, I guess it also depends on how do you draw them.
Right. So, again, so no gender here.
Mm-hmm.
But the game forces a binary system.
Yeah.
And so between markets, that got flipped back and forth at times.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Blanca, I could see to an American audience, sounds feminine.
Yes.
So.
And generally, I believe they are marked as female in this area of the world, but
Yeah. And you don't want to confuse them with the Street Fighter Blanca.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Draw it the Street Fighter Blanca face on Animal Crossing Blanca.
Oh, geez.
I like that idea, actually.
To get into more concrete lore, though still might not be firm concrete, maybe still in the mixer here, we begin with the Abel sisters.
I do love them. They're amazing.
The Abel family was once made up of 5 hedgehogs, the unnamed parents, Sable, the oldest, middle child, Label, and youngest sister, Mabel.
Yes.
At some point, before the little shop we know and love opened in the GameCube/N64 original, I'm not 100% sure it's in the N64, but I know it's in the GameCube one.
Yeah.
The trio's parents passed away, leaving Sable in charge of the household and raising her siblings on her own.
Yes.
At some point, don't quite know when, there's a lot of at some points, Label worked in the post office, but was annoyed when a purple pelican, that would be Phyllis, kept telling her to smile more for the customers. We can get into Phyllis and stuff in another one of these eventually.
And also, it's okay that you don't have to smile all the time, Phyllis. Just because you're happy doesn't mean everybody else has to be.
Oh, Phyllis is not happy. Phyllis is the one who works night shift and is very cranky.
Oh, that's right. Phyllis is that one. Even worse. Ugh.
Label ended up quitting the post office.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Eventually, Sable and Label got into a fight, and Label left as a result, heading to the city, where she remains until we catch up to her in the Wii game, City Folk. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Talking to Sable, we reveal that Label, going by her designer name, LaBelle,
Yes.
abandoned the family to pursue her dreams as a fashion designer. In the city, LaBelle ends up running the store called Gracie Grace, a store selling the designs of fashion designer and LaBelle's mentor, Gracie, who is a giraffe.
Okay.
So, Gracie is a bit complicated.
Oh, no. In what way?
Gracie is female in international versions of the game, but in Japanese and later Korean versions, Gracie is male. Unlike Blanca, this change is intentional, since Gracie is depicted as an okama, a Japanese slang term. Sometimes it's derogatory, but it's also a reclaimed identity term, similar to how queer was reclaimed in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It refers to a effeminate homosexual, men who cross-dress, or sometimes transgender women. The localizers of Animal Crossing considered this a cultural difference that would not be understood or well received in the West when the GameCube game came out, which I think is fair.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but yeah, that would not. And it's funny because I feel like a good chunk of the audience who would like who do like Animal Crossing, I say, would be cool with it.
Yeah.
But it'd be just enough people to complain about it.
You have to remember, so I don't remember what game this was. It was one of the ones with Tortimer, so the mayor.
Yes.
And I don't remember if it was the GameCube one or a later one, because I think he's in the GameCube one. But there was some weirdness. You know, it had to be the Wii one or the DS one because it talked about online You don't know who your child is talking to online through this game Animal Crossing. This character could be a man from blah, blah, blah. And they're showing Tortimer, who's an NPC.
That's the thing that's hilarious about the news in America if you don't experience it as often as we do. Which, to be honest, we don't experience it often because we don't watch regular TV news anymore. We usually try to read articles from specific spaces. And a lot of the news, even if it's talking about something important, it sensationalizes a lot of what's actually news. And then because you have channels that are perpetually showing news over and over again, they're making news out of things that are not really worth your time. And video games are constantly a target of this. Mass Effect famously went through this because they had a scene where it insinuates you sleep with a character all in shadows and silhouette, but apparently, oh no, kids could play this and they might know about the SEX, man. Oh,
Kids, ask your parents.
Yes. Seriously. But yeah, it's something that happens a lot. So I'm not surprised that they said, yeah, let's not label this character no comma. Let's just say Gracie's a girl and move on.
All this aside, Gracie is a bit of an overbearing boss and kind of an absent boss. Doesn't care for the store.
Oh, really?
You know,
there's a lot of artistes who don't know how to do business.
Very artiste. And also a pretty bad mentor, harsh critiques for LaBelle, which likely makes her eventually second guess her plans. Mm-hmm. You know, the drama comes to a head when LaBelle, or Label, begins to send letters to Mabel in an effort to rekindle the family relationship.
Okay.
Label will admit she now believes she has done wrong by her sisters and wants to make amends. Mm-hmm. Even finding out that has a ton of requirements, including talking to the Raccoon General Store entrepreneur Tom Nook and talking to Pelly at the post office, who will likely violate some law when she tells you who Mabel is receiving letters from.
Yes, Pelly, the nice one.
Yes.
But also the one committing identity fraud. Okay.
New Leaf sees Label working in the shop with Mabel and Sable, where she runs the accessory department of their family shop, though she is still going by LaBelle, which it turns out is a name Gracie gave her.
Oh, interesting.
Finally, in New Horizons, she has gone full circle and is using her birth name in public, though she still retains LaBelle as a designer alter ego.
Yes.
From this, we can assume the sisters have finally come together again. And in fact, we know this as a fact because Label will come visit town and the sisters will be like, my sister's here, blah, blah, blah. Or if you do something for Label, she'll give you vouchers for the sister's store. Like, there's definitely a give and take. This dovetails neatly with, well, a little bit, with our next bit. Allegedly, from context gained via conversations with Sable and Tom Nook, players have pieced together that the two had a prior relationship.
Wait, what? What?
The idea goes that the two are around the same age, and they grew up together in the same town, which apparently is the player's town.
Okay.
I don't think that means the player's town back then. I think it means they grew up where you meet them now.
Which is
in the game.
Which is funny because, well, I guess in the town, I don't know. That to me, that doesn't feel like it makes sense.
Don't get too deep into Animal Crossing lore because then you run into the problem of how are there Tom Nooks and Timmys and Tommies on every single village.
I mean, a cloning operation is obvious.
Which is exactly what the comic I saw postulated.
That's fair. It's literally like a Venture Brothers solution there.
So Sable and Tom would spend time stargazing together and talking about their lives. This is actually in dialogue. Mm-hmm. And it's believed Sable grew a soft spot for Nook during this time. However, whether this was strictly platonic or romantic is up for debate. We just don't know what type of relationship they had at this point.
Okay.
Regardless, the whole relationship took a drastically different tone when Nook relocated to the city to follow his passion in business. When asked, Nook will comment the city changed him and that he lost a friend in the process.
Oh, no.
In the same vein, Sable will tell the player a story where she recalls Nook buying her the best pair of scissors she ever owned while he was away and laments she wishes she knew what had become of him.
Ah.
After returning from the city, defeated, Nook spent years in a depression where he pushed away his friends and biggest supporters due to his own internal conflict as a failure. Whatever their original relationship, it is now simply as friendly neighbors.
Aw, that's too bad. One, because he really needs somebody to rein in his ego a little bit.
He's worse in the GameCube game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he is far worse. And then City Folk is where he's moved to the city, I believe. So there's a few years there of him being more business, more profit-driven, moving to the city, being more profit-driven, and then coming back.
Yeah.
So
Wait, but then how do we get Tommy?
we'll get there.
Okay, cool.
Right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh!
When he moved to the city, he suffered dearly for his passion for business. He worked long hours under tough working conditions just to make a living in the world. This experience completely changed him as a person to make him more concerned about profits over anything else. Additionally, we can uncover that Nook also suffered a deep business betrayal that robbed him of all the bells he had earned in the city.
Dun, dun, dun.
Many believe the person behind this was the shifty black market merchant fox, Crazy Red.
Of course.
In fact, I think Tom Nook literally has a dialogue, don't trust foxes or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
Now, I called Tom Nook a raccoon, and officially that's what he is in the international releases of the game.
Yes.
But in Japan, he is a tanuki.
Yes.
Or Japanese raccoon dog, and it is in fact a canid. It is not the same family as raccoons or anything.
Look up a tanuki if you haven't seen one before. They're actually pretty friggin' adorable.
That said, if you know your Japanese mythology, that would pretty much clinch it. Fox spirits and tanuki are both trickster spirits and do not get along.
That makes sense. A trickster doesn't trust another trickster, that's for sure, because they know they don't trust themselves.
In recent years, however, it seems that Nook has tried to turn his life around. He's taken in two boys he calls his nephews, Timmy and Tommy, which might imply Tom has a brother Tim or had, but that's just pure speculation on my part.
Okay.
That said, more speculation could lead to another outcome. Tom donates 90% of his earnings to an orphanage a few towns over. There's even a wing of the building named after him, so maybe Tommy and Timmy aren't his nephews, but rather some kids from the orphanage.
Oh, okay.
We mentioned Japanese folklore.
Yes, and there's definitely a little bit of reference of it here and there.
We mentioned Japanese folklore, and so let's get a quick one out of the way. This one's a pretty common thing to find in all the discussions on Animal Crossing lore. But within the first few games, a couple have us taken into town by Kapp'n. K-A-P-P''N.
Oh, Kapp'n. Yes.
A turtle
Yes.
internationally, but a kappa in Japan.
Yes.
Kappa are very mischievous and even malevolent.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, there's a slew of stuff that they do which are not family friendly. The one that we are going to talk about, though, is that they are said to kidnap children.
Yes.
Which is quite distressing when you think about Animal Crossing as a young person out on their own with no other people around and just a bunch of animals.
And then there's Kappa being like, hey, if you give me some points or some bells, I'll take you someplace fun.
Well, actually, if you... yes, but also I think it's the DS game.
Yeah.
I believe he's driving the car to get you into town the first time.
Yes. He has kidnapped you and convinced you you're moving to a new town.
I mean, the theories about what this one young person is doing in a town full of villages ranges from the innocent to very dark.
Oh, I'm here for any of those explanations.
I did not write any of them down because I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, but we have a little bit of time. So I read everything from just it's a kid's imagination.
Yes, that makes sense.
To the kid is dead and in purgatory.
That's a very American way of reading it, I would think. I don't know. I don't think it would be that. I personally would like to go to the in-between. This is some Fae stuff right here. There's interdimensional Fae stuff. There are some people who actually believe, like, yeah, the Fae actually are just interdimensional beings that like messing with you. And just accidentally some kid slipped in, and then there's a Kappa, who's one of the Fae, being like, hey, man, you're moving into town, right? And you're 6 years old, and you're like, yeah, sure, I'm moving into town. And then you don't realize that you're building the town for all these Fae.
I mean, there's the weirdness of also the aliens.
That's right. There are aliens,
Yeah.
right? I forget.
We
Wait.
mentioned this in episode 100 briefly, but if you watch the TV up to a certain point,
Yes.
I think it's like 3 something in the morning, 3:30 in the morning.
Yes.
The TV switches to like an alien broadcast.
Oh my gosh. But there's also ghosts too.
Yep, ghosts and wisps and
Yeah. Hanging out. So it's definitely I like to think of it as being more of the Fey realm, especially if
But
you're
it's
talking
also-
about.
But it's also over a burial ground because
What?
bones keep coming up from below.
You mean the fossils?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that counts.
And all the
Ancient dinosaur burial ground. Yes, certainly.
well, also once it rains, vessels which hold spirits of the dead come up to the ground.
Okay, that one is definitely fair.
That's a New Horizons.
Do you think the gyroids are just all of the children who questioned the Fey realm? Wait a second, why can't I leave this island? Interesting that you even thought of that. You now have a whistle tone.
Yeah, I mean, there's far more crazy thing. Like asking what the craziest lore you know of from Animal Crossing is a very deep rabbit hole.
I'm here for it though. I'm here
Yeah,
for
we'll
it.
do that in the next episode. We'll just cover crazier lore.
I think that makes sense. Crazier.
This is
lore.
kind of a first blush look at Animal Crossing because this is a very short episode, but I still have one more piece to cover. Mm-hmm. The last thing I want to work in is one related to KK Slider.
I do love me some KK Slider.
Traveling musical superstar and a dog, and also designed after. So there's 2 references that he is designed after. One is after. Oh, I can't remember his name. I didn't write it down, but the musical composer for
Yes.
the original Animal Crossing.
And it's the eyebrows.
It's the
very
eyebrows, partially.
specifically the eyebrows.
And
yeah.
the dog, apparently, like that breed of dog is also the one that was used in some famous advertisement for musical equipment, like back in the day.
Oh wow, I did
Yeah.
not know that part.
I glimpsed that and I forgot to write it down. But so this is a new theory, actually. This isn't about him specifically, but it's related to him. And it's a new theory for me. I had not heard this one at all before. Likely because the primary elements for this theory are from Isabel's amiibo card,
What?
which we have never had any amiibo
Yeah, no, we don't keep up with the amiibos
or the cards for Animal Crossing.
or the
Yeah.
amiibros.
So, or the what?
The amiibros.
The amiibo. So we've never had any of these. Apparently, she has newly acquired musical knowledge gained between New Leaf and New Horizons.
Oh.
Now, Isabel's amiibo card states that she has a bit of a crush on KK Slider.
I could see that.
We already know she can sing and seems to enjoy it, and that both she and KK Slider frequent Brewster's Cafe enough that the pigeon barista knows each of their coffee preferences.
Ah, that's right.
So you have to suspend a little bit of disbelief here to make the jump that there's little to stop them from possibly meeting, getting acquainted, and her becoming starstruck, and maybe him giving her a music lesson or 2.
Yeah, I could see that. And KK is a pretty chill dude to be like,
Yeah.
hey.
Some fans have gone as far as to speculate this is part of the reason that Tom Nook brought Isabel on so quickly.
Oh, really?
Her connection to Slider and his desire for a private island concert.
Oh, yeah.
Which, just to wrap up this a little bit with a non-lore thing, maybe, Isabel
Yeah.
was the MC for DJ KK when he performed at Nintendo Live 2022 in Tokyo,
What?
where they both appeared as live holograms at the concert.
Okay, this is amazing and I'm here for it.
And I kind of wish these types of things happened more all over the world. But for those who want to watch it, which I'm assuming includes Safi now,
Yes.
there's a recording on YouTube, courtesy of
Yay.
Nintendo officially. We'll toss a link in the description for you all.
Also, one of the best things is that in the DLC that they released for New Horizons.
This was for that. This concert was in celebration of that partially.
Yes.
So,
DJ KK has an amazing set that you can just dance to every once in a while. And I think somebody posted on YouTube like a 10-hour version of it.
I believe it.
It's basically just a DJ remix of every song he can play when he's sitting in the sitting in front of the info center.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I know because we're done and we're early.
Oh, are we early? Okay. I'll see if I can help you out here, Mystic. Because we played a lot of this during lockdown.
There is a bunch of theories about Zipper T Bunny.
Oh, yeah, the Easter Bunny that nobody likes. So here's the thing about Zipper T Bunny, guys.
Here's the thing
about Zipper T Bunny. They have a lot of cool events around holidays that are usually pretty easy to spot if you want to participate and pretty easy to ignore if you don't want to participate. Even if it's about catching like leaves or snowflakes during the season, you can get around it and you don't have to participate in it. Then you get Zipper T Bunny. And Zipper T Bunny kind of just goes out of his way to just be everywhere, partly because when you're doing the egg hunt, the things that you do to get resources to get things done are part of the egg hunt. You're trying to chop wood, you didn't get wood, you got an egg. You want to go fishing, you didn't get fish, you got an egg. There's just eggs in places where you're just like, I wanted to have building materials because I need to make this furniture set. I need one more piece of hardwood. And what'd you give me? Eggs. Nothing but eggs. I don't want the eggs. Or like you're trying to like mine a rock and you're like, I want to get a piece of gold. It's an egg. Why did you give me an egg? So it's extremely intrusive to the way that things are done. And they've tried to make it better over the last couple of years, but it's just, you can't get over the fact that this guy has just ruined your day because you can't get the materials you need to build that bench.
Every single balloon that floats by, it's eggs.
It's eggs. Yeah. It's really frustrating.
So there's two theories I remember reading about Zipper T Bunny that I didn't quite want to work in, but at the same time, low on time. Mm-hmm. One was that there's nobody in the suit. It's just empty and it's powered by spirits. Like, that's why he's...
I mean, if we're going to talk about a place that's covered in the dead. Hey, and it's about Easter, which in Christian religion is about Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. I mean, like...
And the other...
Ghost Bunny.
And the other theory was that Zipper T Bunny is the player's dad...
What?
Who has come to the island to check on them and is leaving eggs around as like gifts and stuff.
How do you justify that? That's also, let's think about the kind of dad that says
I think it's because he is a known, like it's a known suit. There's actually the zipper.
Oh.
Number one. And two, you never hear about the player character's dad beyond, like you just get letters from mom.
Oh, that's true.
So
that's true. Yeah, that's interesting too, that you get letters and gifts from mom depending on the season, which would make me think that you're not, in purgatory per se. But like then
I mean, I could stretch a bit and make it work, but we don't.
No, I still think it's the Fae. Because then the Fae...
the Fae control Animal Crossing?
Well, because there's always this idea also, like, if the Fae take you, that they leave a simulacrum of yourself, which is never really you. There's something about it that's always off and different. And then... So you're getting letters from your mom. But it would be interesting, too, if, like, that kind of also plays on as well. It's like, oh, don't worry. Everybody knows you're fine. Look, your mom sent you a letter. And they kind of know the idea of what a mom is. But that's why the letters are, like, kind of strange and a little, like, unhinged in some ways.
Really?
Like the random haikus. And then, like, suddenly you're getting, like, these gifts. But it's always a different version of the same sweater or the same tissue cozy, the same set of candles. And you're like... Oh, my mom never made candles. Like, it's just this kind of idea, like the Fae's like, I'm guessing what a mom does. And they provide, right? And they're caretakers, so they would care enough to give you a sweater. They would care enough to give you candles.
That's fair. All right.
I could see that. And that's why all the holidays aren't celebrated on the same day. You can't have, because they're really bad at guessing how time works here, so it's kind of
that's weird... right. Most of the holidays are like a week of something,
or a day of. The one that I think they get right is when they do Festival with Pave, the peacock.
Pave.
I do love it. It's one of my favorite ones just because they're just dancing and the feathers are fun too because the feathers
You can ignore.
You can ignore. If you don't want to catch feathers, you don't have to catch feathers, and you know which feathers you want. So you can only, if you're like, I only need 2 more purple feathers, you can ignore the red and the green and the blue ones and just wait for the purple ones. It's fine. It's so then Pave then just dances and just becomes fabulous. So Festival, the one that's all about like a little hedonistic, even for Animal Crossing standards. That's the one that they get right. They don't get Christmas right. They don't get what other holidays? So they don't get Christmas.
New Year's,
right?
but that makes sense.
New Year's they get right, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, New Year's they get right.
I don't think they even get the seasons right. I think it changes on the month. It doesn't change on like the equinox or whatever.
Yes, it doesn't change on the equinox. And then it's about whether or not you're in a northern or the southern hemisphere. So you can visit places and they're like, oh yeah, no, you can leave the island to another island that we have also curated. So it's just, I don't know.
I think the other question is, what game do we play for the stream now?
Which one do we play? Well, we started one a while when we did the 100th episode.
We did do Animal Crossing.
We did do Animal Crossing.
Should we just continue that one?
We may want to change the date so that it's like, where have you been? Because that's going to be ruined.
So they don't really do that as much oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember in the GameCube version, the animals don't kind of hint that they want to leave. They just leave.
That was the same with the DS version.
Yeah.
They just go.
The other thing that I was maybe going to cover, and maybe we'll cover this another time, is the Animal Crossing anime.
Oh, what?
That never came out in the US, but there are fan dubs and subs out there.
Okay.
So maybe we'll cover that another time.
We definitely need to cover that another time now.
I do remember in that anime, one of the villagers leaves and it breaks the little girl's heart because they just leave. It's based more on the GameCube version.
Oh wow, they just go away.
Yeah.
It's like poof, gone. Sorry, bye.
Yeah.
And you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I feel like culturally Japan's like, kids will get over it. They'll be fine. And in America, I feel like we're a little bit more like, "No, but it hurts their feelings."
I mean, the anime she was bawling, so.
Yeah. That's fair. That makes sense.
So maybe we'll cover that another time, but this was just a nice little break.
Yes.
Next 2 episodes are going to be dark and a little goofy. Okay, not the next episode's dark. The one after that's goofy. Sorry.
Okay. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but all right. Well, right. Well, guys.
One is gritty realism. The other one is not.
Okay. So it's goofy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. And
thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you the Thursday after this airs on the live stream where we'll figure out which Animal Crossing we're playing. And alternate Thursdays, we are still playing Mass Effect. So again, patrons, get your votes in. But we're definitely doing Pharos this time.
Yes.
We already landed on Pharos. We already started the Pharos mystery. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the streams.
Yeah, catch you then.
Bye.
Bye.